Well, good morning, good afternoon, or good evening, folks, wherever you are. Welcome to M1 Racing on a Wednesday evening. You know what that means. We are back with the G-Force Racing Elite League for another exciting round of racing, and we're very much looking forward to bringing this one to you this evening. Now, if you've never been with M1 Racing before, you are very welcome. My name's Mark, and I'm going to be looking after you for the next hour and a half, 2 hours maybe, with the G-Force Racing Elite League as we head towards the end of Season 5 and our last season on the F1 24 game. But before we get into where we are on the Elite League, we do need to recognise a new winner, a new entry into the GFR Hall of Fame, because this last Sunday... Hey KK, welcome to the Twitch chat. It's good to have you back racing as well today. Have a good race. Good evening, Emerge. Nice to have you in with us as well. And yeah, no Marcel, no Jakob. They really want you to win this season 5. We'll take a look at the Season 5 standings in a moment, but I do want to just get to the Ironman. So we finished the Ironman, Season 2 of the Ironman. This is the 100% races we run every other Sunday. Season 2 came to an end for us last Sunday, and M. Dorling is the Ironman champion from Season 2. He will go alongside Mac T as an Ironman champion, so huge congratulations to M. Dorling. Marcelinki had a decent go towards the end, 111 points for them, finished second, and Obo, M. Dorling's teammate, took 109 points. 2 Aston Martins on the top of the driver's standings. So congratulations once again to M. Dorling 44 in the GFR Hall of Fame, alongside some very famous names from past GFR history. As far as the constructors from the Ironman is concerned, after 8 rounds of racing, Aston Martin absolutely wiped the board with everyone else, 240 points for them. Red Bull gave it a pretty decent go on 157. That team of Emil and who else was driving for Red Bull? That was Marcel, I thought, but there we go, on 157. And then Mercedes behind them in third. They're our top 3 from Season 2 of Ironman. So huge congratulations to them. Oh, that is the old graphic. So it was Aston Martin that led the way. They nailed it from a long way back. But Aston Martin were Constructors Champions from Season 2. So once again, congratulations to M. Dorling as Season 2 Ironman champion. They will be in the GFR Hall of Fame. So we move away from the Ironman and we look ahead to the rest of Season 5, because it's starting to hot up as we enter the last 4 rounds of Season 5. And last week we were in Spain for a double header, the sprint and the feature race. And Liam Mag, on returning to the G-Force Racing Elite League, had a very good day. I'm going to move the video forward on so you can see a little bit of the sprint race in the top right corner of your screen there, folks. Liam Mag had a very good drive in the sprint. They were being chased very closely by M1 Righty. We thought they may have timed their challenge just right until the game had other ideas. And we get a flying Alpine coming out of turn 13. Really put pay to M1 Righty's hopes of victory in the sprint. Jacobo took second place in the sprint. M1 Righty third in the end. Emerge came home in fourth. Marcel in fifth. M. Dorling in sixth. Daddy Tonk picking up points again in seventh. That's E36 Goat. You'll see them on your screen when we get under racing today. And then Jaguar Paul picked up the last points. SS7, Monty, Mr. Hannes and Emil all finishing outside the points, or indeed in the case of Mr. Hannes and Emil not actually finishing at all in the sprint. But then they went all again in the feature race. And this is how it all ended up after various different reports and what have you. It was very tight racing. And if you haven't watched a replay of any of our G-Force Racing Elite races, do head back to my stream. There was the flying M1 Righty in the top right corner of your screen, folks. If you missed it, I'll rewind in a minute and play it to you again. M1 had some very interesting game experiences last week. Quite remarkable they actually managed to keep it on track for both races. Liam Mag was victorious again, 2 from 2, and that's 3 wins in a row for Liam Mag, having won the previous race as well in Belgium. So doing well for Liam Mag, and you'll see that in the driver's standings. They are fast approaching the top echelons of the table. M1 Righty came home in second, and they were running in the wheel tracks of Liam for large parts of that race, as well as leading the race for a big chunk on a slightly different tyre strategy to everyone else around them. SS7 had another good drive, back on the podium again for them in third place. Then Jacobo came home in fourth. Good day for Mercedes, and that's important in the Constructors' Championship. Jaguar, strong finish for them in fifth. Xmas came home in sixth after a very good run for them. M. Dorling 7th, Hommel 8th, and Emerge KD's 9th eventually. Emerge did actually finish second on track, but unfortunate for them, coming together with M. Dorling meant that they eventually, after penalties applied, shifted back down the running order just to keep things interesting in the Drivers' Championship, I'd say. And then Emil picked up the final point in 10th. So where does that leave us with all the respective standings? And hopefully I have got the right graphics for these. So Merge KDs leads the way on 138 points, 47 clear of Marcel in second. And Marcel is not racing, as you may have picked up from the Twitch chat. Marcel not with us this week, so it's going to come down to M1 Righty to try and make up a bit of a difference on the fast charging Emerge KDs in their RB. So M1 Righty in third on 90 points. Vessel Jakub Plozka, as we know them now on track. Jakub is still recovering, I think, from a bit of illness. Is expected to be back with us next time out. So not entirely out of reach for them, but they're going to have some work to do. Liam Mag on 74 points after just, I think, 3 rounds of racing with GeForce Racing. Fast approaching the top 3. So look out for Liam to go well. They were running into some technical issues with their game through practice earlier today, so hopefully they will solve those, and watch for a fast charging Ferrari. SS7 in 6th place on 72, M. Dorling on 69 in 7th, Emil on 67, Obo on 58, Jaguar on 58, Ghosty on 55, and Jacobo on 49. So you can see it's still pretty tight, and anyone, I'd say, from 2nd down to 12th probably has a shot over the remaining rounds here to end up in the top 3. But will anybody close down Emerge KDs and for them to pick up their first ever GFR title? But Emerge has been the class above this season so far, for sure. If we look at the constructors' standings, well, I thought I've changed all of these, and I haven't. So bear with me a moment, folks, and I will let me change that, because I do actually have it. We have all the correct constructor standings knocking around somewhere, I'm sure of it. I think it's this one. We change things on the fly, folks. Why not? There we go. That looks a bit better, doesn't it? So Mercedes just out in front on 203 points. Only 10 clear, though, of the RBs of Emerge KDs and Goat Ghosty. Now, I don't think Goat is driving tonight, but they have... Oh, no, they are going to be on their own. So it's just... I thought they might have a reserve driver with the RBs today. But no, it is... just Emerge to try and close down on the Mercedes. Mercedes do have 2 drivers out there, the very strong partnership of SS7 and Jakob O, who Jakob O has done a great job standing in for Jakub Plozka. So look for the Mercedes to score more points and try and stretch that lead on the RBs behind them. The Red Bulls, of course, are not out of this yet either. They're on 160 points. No Marcel today, but I believe Emeleki is going to be driving with us today, so potentially more points for Red Bull. And I think Hommel is stepping into the vacant Red Bull seat this evening. Was that KKE? I think maybe KKE stepping into the Red Bull seat. Oh no, that's right. So Hommel is going to be stepping into a vacant Aston Martin seat. As you see, the wet qualifying for the feature race from Spain last time out, and my previous co-commentator Monty trying to do his best to get a Sauber around a very slippery track in Barcelona last time out. Aston Martin not entirely out of the running. Good evening, M1 Righty. Very good of you to stop by and say hello. Are you going to be able to close down that gap to emerge KDs? It's quite an ask. It's not beyond your abilities, I know, but you're going to have to go well today and pick up as many points as you can. So the Aston Martin's not entirely out of running for the constructors, but with only 4 more rounds to go, they're going to have some pretty spectacular results. Alpine on 90, Williams on 90. Ferrari on 89, but gaining all the time with the strong haul of points from Liam Mag. McLaren on 27, Haas on 18, and well, of course it's not Alfa Romeo, because SS7 doesn't like to give me the latest stuff. But 11 points for the bottom team there. And of course, this is the first season. I think this will be a first for GFR, where every team, every constructor will have scored points. So we've waited to the end of F1 24 for that to happen, but that is very, very good news. Obviously, Sauber in 10th spot at the moment. Indeed, M1 Righty. So M1 Righty's memory is very good. They had a cracking battle with SHS Predestinato in Season 2, and they had an immense task to close down that championship gap. But M1 Righty was able to do it, and they picked up their first championship as a result. So we're looking for a very tight battle here today, and I'm even more delighted that we're actually going to have a whole bunch of racing this evening. We're heading out to Imola very, very shortly for another sprint round. We had a sprint in Barcelona last week in Spain. We're going to get the same in Imola. Another tight, twisty circuit. It's going to get very, very intense here. And if previous seasons of GFR and Imola are anything to go by, you'll do well to predict the outcome here. Weather has played a significant factor of races in Imola, both in Season 1 and Season 3. And we may talk a little bit about that when we get into qualifying in a few moments' time. So we'll be looking towards the heavens to see if any rain is going to be coming our way. Just keep my eye on the drivers' chat in the Discord server, and I think we've got a couple of drivers just trying to get in. Liam in particular struggling to get into the lobby, so we're going to give them a moment. Public service announcement. Top rightish of your screen you will see a live score for Barcelona Inter Milan. For those of you who are football fans, I know KKE is, and they asked me to keep track of the second semi-final in the Champions League. Obviously PSG getting a slight advantage over Arsenal yesterday evening, so we'll see how Barcelona and Inter get on. This will remain on your screen throughout the racing, and I'll do my best to let you know any further information, so we try and keep everyone happy here. We know you'd rather be watching the motor racing, and you can catch the football later, but if you want to keep up to date, I'll do my best to help you out. So I think Liam's hopefully going to be in just a moment. Looks as though VRX is going to be joining us as well. VRX, as their game passes run out by the looks of things, as has Liam's. Okay, so oh no, I don't know if VRX is going to join us now. VRX had a very good drive last week, and was fighting with the front three for a big chunk of the race, and aggressive strategy on some soft tyres. Didn't eventually work out for them, but they still got a decent pool of points for them, and they've been a good addition to the GeForce Racing Elite League. So whilst we wait for our final drivers to come in, let me remind you what happened in Imola over the last couple of terms we've been here. In Season 1, we were here for the very, very first time of GeForce Racing, and SS7 was victorious, our league owner, in one of the legendary races of GeForce Racing. MVRJ Repo was leading the way by about 7-8 seconds with 2 or 3 laps left to go. Then the rain came down quite heavily. J Repo decided to stay out on hard tyres. SS7 and a number of others decided to pit onto intermediates, and we thought J Repo was still going to do it. They hung on right to the very, very end, But about a lap from the end, they lost it going into or coming out of the Variante Alta chicane. And SS7 said thank you very much and picked up victory in Imola. So SS7 was victorious. J Repo came home in second. Imolecki came home in third in Imola. So watch out for Emil if they are racing. I see Emil in the lobby, so Emil's going to be out there. They'll certainly be hoping for the rain. Emil goes very, very well in the wet, as does E36 Goat, who is also in the lobby today. El Alex, a name from the past, came home fourth. Domo Pierce was in fifth. A certain Mr. Hannes finished in sixth. I don't seem to remember any... well, Inter Milan ahead already. So KK has got a much closer eye on this than I have. Not even a minute in, and Inter Milan ahead. So obviously first round of 2 though, KKE. Have hope, have hope. There's still time to bring it back. So that was season 1 in Imola. The second time we visited Imola was in season 3, which is another one well worth watching back. On my YouTube channel, you'll be able to see every replay from every G-Force Racing Elite and Ironman race there ever has been. And you will be able to see the one from Imola, which gave us rain once again at the end of the race, which helped mix things up a little bit further. Charlie Ark was victorious in season 3 in Imola. They did stay out on those hard tyres to the very end, even in the wet, but they managed to keep it on track and was rightly driver of the day. And the GOAT is on his way, says Emerge. So Goat Ghosty will complete the RB team this evening, just to keep Mercedes on their toes in the Constructors' Championship. Well done, Emerge. You managed to wake Goat Ghosty up, or has he decided not to go to work? We shall find out later. So Charlie Ark victorious last time out. Roadrunner, who we haven't seen for a while. Charlie Ark was a great driver. We were very lucky to have them for a short while with G-Force Racing, as was Roadrunner. Gave us, I think, also picked up a victory in season 3. Imolecki came third that time. So 2 third places for Emil over 2 races in Imola. So again, watch for Emil to go well. And then Mac T came home in 4th, SS7 in 5th on that occasion. So the Mercedes know how to pick up points here. All right, we have readied up. We are going to go live for round 9 of the G-Force Racing Elite League Season 5. I'll see you the other side of this. Don't go anywhere, folks. On the inside of Cox, SS7 goes with them. It's wheel to wheel as we head down towards Vale. 3 cars wide coming down the strip. All right, folks, let's go racing. And you can see there, folks, at the end of that intro video for G-Force Racing, mention of the Ironman as well as the Elite League and links to my YouTube and Twitch channels. If you want to get involved with M1 Racing, even though we're coming to the end of F1 24, we're going to keep this going into F1 25. So if you want to come and be part of the G-Force Racing community, head over to the Discord server, sign up, and you could be out on track with these folks, either for the remainder of Season 5 or when we get underway with F1 25 for Season 6. As we saw in the Twitch chat, Goat Ghosty is on his way into the game. So we should have both RBs out there in qualifying eventually. And so it's very quiet here in Imola, but it would help if I actually put the volume up on the stream from the Imola circuit. So a few of our drivers coming out on to track, and we may as well go up to our championship leader of Emerge KDs as we navigate one of the greatest circuits on the F1 calendar. Definitely one of our drivers' favourites. The home of Ferrari, or very close to the home of Ferrari. So they will be hoping for a good performance from Sydney, and hopefully Liam Mag, if they can finally get into the game here. As Emerge starts their first flying lap through the trees of Imola, into turns 2 and 3 and then 4. Got a car in front of us, and it's getting very busy on track here, even with only 11 drivers on the grid at the moment, and it's already busy, and I think that's Emerge backing out a little bit, so they would have been compromised here. Emerge out on some medium tyres for a bit of a sighter lap, but there's not a lot of room to manoeuvre here, and one poorly positioned car can be the difference between pole position and somewhere much, much further down the grid. That's the Ferrari of Sydney up in front of us as we come through Acqua Minerale up to the Variante Alta. We'll see how many of our drivers really straight line those curbs of that chicane. Now we're getting a tow from the Ferrari in front of us. Down to turn 17, then 18, and there is one more corner, if it could be called that. Turn 19 was the little kink just before we come over the start-finish line. As Emerge, they must have invalidated, so let me bring up the track map. That always gives me a better clue. As Emerge goes again to try and set a time on the board. There's that Ferrari for Emerge either to benefit from if they do get a bit of a tow, but they'll also get the disruptive dirty air behind that Ferrari. And Emerge, we know, will be quick, and he's getting very close to the rear end of that Ferrari, but that Ferrari is also on a hot lap as well. As Sydney goes a little bit too wide, and track limits, watch out for that, as Jacobo sets the fastest lap so far. The target for everyone else, 1:30.161. For them, those times will be an awful lot quicker before we're done in qualifying here. Remember, it's sprint qualifying, so we've got 2 races for our money. We're going to get a short sprint race, which will be over in the blink of an eye, and then we do qualifying for the feature race, and we do it all again over a much longer distance. So plenty of opportunity for points, as well as plenty of opportunities for our drivers to get this in horribly, horribly wrong. But they will get a second chance as Emerge goes fastest with a 1:14.836. Substantially faster than Jacobo, but no great surprise. So Emil is invalidated on this lap, so not set a time yet. Let's get to KKE. Welcome back, KKE. It's been a little while since KKE's been racing with us with GeForce Racing, as then one righty goes a little bit faster, 1:14.662, but then puts the Alpine on provisional pole. So KKE driving for Red Bull through turns 5 and 6. Now we're up to the hairpin of turn 7. The drivers will look for a late apex here so we can get back on the power as Jacobo goes quicker, 1:14.611. These lap times very close in these early stages of sprint qualification. KKE is invalidated. We see track limits today, folks. Track limits. Those penalties are going to be very, very painful. We saw Sydney trying to get a lap in. They've invalidated also. We get a clue of that from the red track map on the right-hand side of our screen. Dave Hummel. Dave, apologies. We came to you exactly the wrong time for you, but the right time for us as we see a very sideways Aston Martin there. What's that coming through? Was that coming through turn 9? I think it was. Yeah, it was just coming turn 10 down the hill into Acqua Minerale. So E36 Scope driving for McLaren, consistently scoring points week on week, has also invalidated. So all of our drivers really pushing it to the limit here. SS7 has a time on the board, 1:15.079, but we'll need to go a touch faster to see pole here with the fastest time so far, a 1:14.611. Emil is there or thereabouts, so 1:14.974 for them. Goat Ghosty did manage to get out, so we welcome Goat Ghosty back to see if they can get a time in on their outlap, so we don't have to worry about invalidating at this point. Let's ride on board with the other RB and see what Go Ghosty can do round Imola. Pit lane entry on the right hand side. We don't need that on this lap. We're going to open a DRS for the very first time and head down the start finish straight. There's a couple of kinks in this. One of those is turn 1, which we've just gone through or just about to go through now, then 2, then 3. Trying to avoid those sausage curbs, but straight line that as much as we can and carry as much pace throughout this lap. And it's all about minimum speed round here in Imola. Up to the hairpin of turn 7. Go easing back on the power now. Everybody's struggling with track limits here. On the power again, we head down the hill into Acqua Minerale. Just a fantastic sequence of corners back up the hill. Heading towards the Variante Alta chicane. Turns 14 and 15. Huge chunks of curves, and that is where Goat has invalidated. So Goat will have to try again. Let's get down to Jaguar. They're on a hot lap. Welcome back, Jaguar. Very strong driver here. Always scores consistently well. And I think it's only a matter of time before Jaguar is on the podium and potentially takes victory in one DFR race in the future. They've certainly got the ability. They are looking to get their first time on the board here in Imola. Still that time to beat, a 1:14.611 from Jacobo. Huge chunk of curb from Jaguar through 14. So that sets them up well as we head down the hill once more through 16, then 17. A lot of understeer from the Williams as we get back on the power, and Jaguar says no, that's not going to work, and heads into the pits. So Goat Ghosty, I think, was trying again. They are still good. No red track map, which is the important thing. Up through 12, then 13. Desperate to get as much traction as they can. Goat Ghosty was purple in Sector 2, so it's going well for them on this lap. Well, they've invalidated again. The Goat pushing hard, but unable to get a time on the board yet. And you can see there's a whole bunch of drivers yet to achieve that. Sydney is attempting again. I'm glad to say Liam Mag is in the pit garages, so we will get both Ferraris out there today. As Sydney comes down to turn 7 on some soft tyres here for Sydney. So you will see the last 2 minutes of sprint qualification. Many of our drivers will have been out on mediums to begin with, but will now try and get a time in on some soft tyres if they want to start this race further up. Lots of traffic in front, and I wouldn't be surprised if that has put Sydney off. They hadn't, well, the track map has not come up red, but it certainly would have disadvantaged their time. So I think charge up those batteries again. As KKE goes fastest of anyone, a 1:14.557 on medium tyres. So a good lap from KKE. The Red Bull garage will be delighted. Emil will be delighted as well. Let's see if they can hold that there. Dave Hommel has got a time on the board, a 1:16.363 for them. SS7 is attempting to go again. We'll bring up the lap data so we can all see if they're improving through the various sectors. Jacobo goes quicker again, 1:14.427. We'll see these places change second after second. I think here is the last minute of sprint qualification we are in now. SS7 nearly 3/10 up on their previous time. It's better, but it's not going to be good enough to disrupt the top 3. At this point, they're going to need to find a little bit more time in these final sectors and these final corners. SS7 now on soft tyres. Final corner for SS7, back on the power. We see the DRS activation point, and they do improve by 3/10 to 1:14.793. Provisional P4 for SS7. M1 Righty, are they improving? They're trying to steal that pole position away. No, M1 Righty is not, and I think they're not going to have enough time now to set another time. So M1 Righty 1:14.630. Best they can hope for. Liam Mag is just over the start-finish line in time. So Liam Mag yet to set any time whatsoever. He's got to do it all on their first and only qualifying lap. E36 Goat yet to set a time. Jaguar Port also yet to set a time. And that is Liam Mag going backwards, coming through turn 6. So that is the Ferrari out. Jaguar Port now. The other driver yet to get a time on the board. Nobody able to dislodge Jacob O from pole position at the moment. Jaguar Port through the Variante Alta, staying within track limits on the exit. This is where our drivers are willing their cars to go faster and faster as they head down the hill. Another lock up on the front left from Jaguar Port. We saw that earlier on their lap, which was invalidated. Back on the power. Over the DRS activation, and a 1:15.130 for Jaguar Port does not improve. Let's get to Emerge KDs. Emerge is not improving either. They have invalidated also. So it's just Dave Hummel, I think, here who has any hope of improving. They are improving by nearly 4 tenths coming through Sector 2. It's this final stretch. And Dave Hummel gets a 1:16.1, keeps them in provisional 10th. So no time for Ghosty. Or are they on a lap bit? No, I don't think so. No time for them. So Ghosty's going to start at the back of the grid alongside Liam Mag. So Liam Mag, Victor from the last 3 races. There's 2 sprints. The sprint and feature race in Spain. And the feature race in Belgium is going to be at the back of the grid. Ghosty, Emerge's teammate, also at the back of the grid. But most importantly, Emerge is at the front alongside Jacobo, on pole position for Jacobo and Mercedes. So our qualification standings for the sprint race: Jacobo on pole, Emerge KD's just 4 100ths back in second. Then comes KKE on their return to G-Force Racing alongside M1 Righty. Then E36 Goat got a good time. Ben, apologies, I missed that. 1:14.765 for E36 Goat in 5th. Then Sydney in 6th, SS7 in 7th, Emil in 8th, Jaguar Paul 9th, Dave Hummel 10th, Goat Ghosty 11th, and Liam Mag's going to be right at the back. Last to first challenge for Liam here in Imola for the sprint race. Now, of course, our drivers have far less to lose in the sprint. Now we know that we're going to get feature qualifying separately now. So our drivers can go for it in the sprint race here. And they don't need to be as conservative as they used to be, which would have usually in the past have set the starting order for the feature race. But they will get to go again in the feature qualifying, which will come up after this race here in Imola. So it looks a little bit overcast. My timing screen is not forecasting any rain at this point, but being Imola and our previous experiences here, I would not be surprised to see a touch of moisture a little bit later on in one of today's races. This track distance, 4.9 kilometres here around Imola, 19 corners and just the 1 DRS zone, but that is super powerful. So our drivers will be looking to overtake down the start-finish straight into turn 2, where it can get very, very tight, particularly on the opening laps. And we'll see how many of our drivers can actually make it through turns 2, 3 and 4 on this opening lap. All right, folks, we're ready to go. All right, folks, let's go racing with the G-Force Racing Elite League. The sprint race here from Imola, and Jacobo has led us away well from Emerge KD's. M1 Righty has gone with them. Then KKE in 4th. E36 Goat is there. Now we're into the treacherous turn 1 and 2. Our drivers running side by side through 3. Now starting to come into more of a train as we settle in to this race. And through 5 and 6, Jacobo has got away well. E36 Goat wide as they came through turn 6 there. Jacobo takes them up the hill. Wet qualifying, Liam's going to telling me, for the feature race. It will make things interesting. Thank you, Liam. I do hope they're focusing right now. They are at the back of the grid, but Ghosty's had a blinder of a start, all the way up from 11th to 8th in the opening corners of this lap, and Emil has definitely lost out all the way back down there in 12th now. So Emil brings up the rear of this train of cars. Jacobo leads Emerge KDs from M1 Righty, then KKE, then E36 Goat, then Sydney, followed by Jaguar. Now the fast charging Goat Ghosty, followed by Dave Hommel, SS7 all the way back there in 10th. So the Mercedes of SS7 also losing out, and now Liam Mag. All of our drivers doing their best to keep all parts of their car intact. Don't worry about that lap time. That is just Jacobo's first lap, which is always going to be fastest of anyone. As we're on lap 2 of 11. I told you folks this is going to be over very, very quickly with lap times only in the 1 minute 10s or thereabouts. We've got a yellow flag. That is Dave Hommel off through the first chicane. So the Aston Martin recovering pretty much sends them out of contention here for the sprint race points. Jacobo doing well to hang on to the lead of this race. Let's bring tyres on the board. Well, do winners and losers first. Jacobo and Emerge where they began. A 3-second time penalty already for M1 Righty. You can see where that's going to put them come the end of this sprint race if everyone stays so closely bunched together. That's an unfortunate outcome for M1 so early on. There'll be more penalties, folks, before we're done here, though. 2-0 to Inter. Sorry, KKE. Focus on this race because you're doing well in that. You're 4th at the moment, just down the 1 place from where you started. Sydney's up 1. E36 Coat dropped back 1 now into 6th. Jaguar has up 2. Goat Ghosty up 3. Liam Mag up 3. Another yellow flag. That's for Dave Hommel once again. That through the very anti-outer chicane. As the lap time starts to tumble. Sydney with a 1:16.06. Is this Emerge's opportunities? Can they go round the outside of Jacobo into turn 1 and 2? They do indeed. So Emerge takes the lead of this sprint race. There is a very sideways. Was that Goat Ghosty? It was a very sideways Goat Ghosty coming through, and then once again, and they've got him got tapped there by Emil, I think so. Emil and Goat Ghosty taking each other out, it would seem, as they came through or settling through turn 4, getting ready for turn 5. So Goat and Emil really losing out. So a number of our drivers taking each other out here. SS7 starting to recover now, is on the rear end of Liam Mag. Liam is trying to close down on E36 Goat. Emil gets a 3-second time penalty for track limits, and we're only on lap 3, folks. So and all of this has happened in just the first 3 laps. Liam desperately trying to close in on E36 Go, and they're doing so at a rate of knots. So Liam Mag very much improving here. Let's put the tyres up. Everyone did pretty much start on mediums. Dave Hommel's been into the pits now, probably for some repairs and a brand new set of soft tyres, but it's essentially out of the running here for the sprint race. Emerge is in the lead. That's the important thing to note, and we'll keep an eye on Liam Mag as they close in on this chasing battle. And that's Jacobo through, and that's that was KKE off into the gravel through turns 2, 3 and 4 there. So it's all happening here as our drivers try to find a way past on this tight, twisty circuit. Liam Mag now with 3 seconds of time penalties. So it's the Liam Mag, after recovering so well, is going to drop back a very long way. SS7 has got through on Liam Mag. I dare say the FIA is also going to be very, very busy here. We're still with Jacobo and Emerge KDs as Barcelona get one back against Inter Milan. That looks like an exciting game as well. Liam Mag swapping places with SS7. And in doing so, these drivers are gradually closing down on E36 Goat. Actually, indeed, the 2 Ferraris are getting very close together now. SS7 trying to find a way through, and with those time penalties ahead of them, a number of our drivers may decide discretion is the better part of valour, but we've still got a little way to go, 7 more laps. SS7 now picks up a 3-second time penalty. If our drivers, those that can keep it clean, are going to do very, very well, as Jacobo is getting swamped by Emerge KDs and M1 Righty into turn 2. M1 breaks a bit too late, goes sideways. E36 Goat sees an opportunity. This is one of E36 Goat's best races of the season so far for them and for McLaren. Could they be on the podium for E36 Goat? Very good drive from E36 so far. It's a long while since we've seen them fighting at the front, but this track going well for E36 in the sprint race here. We're on lap 5. Emerge KD's now in the lead, followed by Jacobo, then E36 Go, M1 Righty, Liam Mag, Sydney SS7, all with 3-second time penalties. Then comes KKE recovering from their trip into the gravel a lap or two ago. Jaguar now through into 9th. Emil, I think, is probably carrying a little bit of damage. Dave Hommel in 11th there. And Goat Ghosty has decided to retire from the sprint race. And they will prepare now for the feature race, which will come after qualifying, which comes after this race is over. But we've already had so much wheel-to-wheel action already. I expect we'll get a little bit more still to come. The fastest lap of the race so far was Sydney on around about lap 3 with a 1:16.060. Everyone pretty close to that time, but not close enough. Dave Hommel now is the latest driver to pick up a 3-second time penalty. E36 has let M1 Righty go, and they need not fight them, but they might have designs here. As E36 picks up a 3-second time penalty, commentators curse. So Jacobo and Emerge keeping it clean so far. And it could be that KKE and Jaguar Paul benefit from all of this if KKE can get onto the rear end of Sydney. They are 2.5 seconds back. Those E36 goes very, very wide through turn 8. And they've got Liam Mag now right behind them. So a great recovery from Liam Mag as they've made their way gradually through the field here. Jacobo shaping for a move on Emerge KDs to try and retake the lead of this race. Now Sydney with a 3-second time penalty. Or to add, I think. Let's bring those up very, very quickly. They're starting to add up. Is anyone? Yes, so Sydney now on to 6 seconds. As has Dave Hommel. Everyone else on 3. And why don't we leave the penalties up? Actually, that's going to be... Everyone else is on on medium tyres now, folks. So we know what the tyre strategy is as it gets very tight once again into turn 2. Liam Mag now with a 3-second time penalty. That makes it 6 for them. So KKE could well be in the box seat if they can get... And that's E36 Go. And Jacobo, lost out as they came through turn 4. So... they've gone backwards. It's Emerge KD's clearly in the lead now. Emerge just needs to keep it clean. It's another victory for them as Jacobo tries to grab onto the rear end of that Mercedes. I do fear the FIA is going to be very busy, folks, this evening and over the next couple of days. A few clips for us to review. So KKE, 2.2 seconds back. They're definitely taking 5th place from Sydney right now if they can keep it within the white lines. These white lines you see on the edge of the track, folks, you get all 4 wheels over them and you do that 3 times, you're going to get what Emil has just got, a 3-second time penalty, and then if you do it 3 more times you'll get another 3 seconds. So we've got 4 drivers on 6 seconds. Liam Mag, Sydney, Emil and Dave Hommel. M1 Righty, SS7 and E36 all on 3 seconds. E36 after what was looking like a stunning drive from them. Sadly dropped right now back to 9th. Jacobo with no penalties all the way back there in 10th though, and maybe carrying a little bit of damage, I think. Was that SS7 with no... SS7 looks all clear. E36 gets another 3 seconds. Absolutely right, Ghosty. Emerge just needs to keep it clean. And they have got victory here for the sprint race. They are coming under pressure though from Liam Mag. Now, positions will make a difference though, because it puts more time distance between them and the drivers behind. So they will hope to find a way through on the RB if they can. But it's so tight round here. The overtaking opportunities are incredibly limited. And one mistake can have you, as we've seen, in Jacobo's position right at the back and out of the points. Yeah, we did see the coming together between you and Emil coming through turn 4. And it's difficult to tell from our viewpoint quite where everyone was, but it was very tight. And we did see you both heading off into the barriers. Here's Liam coming through, and it looks as though he will get through on Emerge. Emerge doesn't need to fight it with Liam Mag carrying 6 seconds, and it looks as though M1 Righty has gone with them as well. Emerge happy to sit there. SS7 though might look to try and pick up the pieces of anything else that happens in front. And here comes KKE, 2.2 seconds back from SS7. So it could be that KKE is going to end up on the podium here. We're on lap 9 of 11, only 2 more laps after this one to go. And we've got another yellow flag. Who is that? That's right down by the hairpin there. That's Jaguar, I fear, that is recovering. So one mistake, one accidental coming together, one collision, and you're going backwards very, very quickly. E36 Goat is a long way back, 6 seconds back, and Emil picks up 3 seconds. So that's a total of 9 for Emil, the track limits king. We'll be hoping for rain at some point, I think, here to improve their chances of a greater points haul. So Emerge is essentially going to take victory here. They can keep it clean in the last 2 laps. Liam Mag leads on track from M1 Righty. M1 Righty will, of course, leapfrog Liam Mag, but then both of them are going to drop behind Emerge. Another 3 seconds for Dave Hommel. Does Emerge look to challenge? No, they decide not to. SS7's looking for a way through. Because of that 3 seconds for Liam Mag, that's an extra place for SS7 as well. So Emerge is really trying to stick it out in the battle of the penalty runners here and just trying to survive, I dare say, at this point. KKE is coming though. We can see that now. That gap visibly closer. 1.5 seconds the gap now between SS7 and KKE as M1 Righty goes very, very wide through 8. And then down through 9, then through Aqua Minerale, back up the hill. Emerge KTs. I fear for you, my friend. This will be a hard-won victory, that's for sure. M1 Righty picks up 3 seconds. That's 6 for them. 6 for Liam. SS7 doesn't mind that, and KKE definitely doesn't. This is going to be second place for KKE in the sprint race, as more drivers are now on 9 seconds. Sydney, Emil, E36 Go, and Dave Hommel. So it may not be over for Jacobo or indeed Jaguar, given the penalties that are in front of them, as M1 Righty leads us away at the start of the final lap here. Liam Mag takes the lead. M1 Righty now in second. Emerge happy to sit there in third. SS7 still in fourth. KKE isn't quite able to get on the rear end of SS7. So it's a fight now between Liam, M1 Righty, Emerge and SS7 to see who finishes first on track. Emerge is going to be victorious here, no question. Even if they were to pick up a 3-second time penalty, as long as they keep SS7 behind them. Although KKE is pretty close actually, so even Emerge cannot risk picking up a penalty now in these final few corners. It's going to be a great return to GeForce Racing for KKE as we come through the final chicane here. Taking it very, very easy there for Emerge. That's still bringing KKE right into play. They're now on the rear end. M1 Righty and Liam Mag dicing into turn 18. Sorry, 17 that was. Now through 18. Dave Hommel picks up another 3 seconds. Liam Mag is going to cross the line first. But it's going to be Emerge KDs that takes victory in the sprint race. KKE is going to come home in second. SS7 in third. Liam Mag eventually in fourth, followed by M1 Righty. Then Emil, after that coming together with Ghosty, eventually finishes in sixth. Sydney in seventh. E36 Goat is going back rapidly as it's Jacobo that takes seventh. Jaguar takes eighth. Sydney in ninth. And eventually Dave Hommel is going to come over the line, but with another 12 seconds to be added in 11th place for them and Aston Martin. Well, that was eventful, to say the least. But Emerge KDs takes victory here and adds and extends their lead in the GeForce Racing Elite League Championship in round 8. Sorry, I should say round 9. And the game gives Liam Mag driver of the day, but I am just going to give driver of the sprint race to Emerge for managing to survive that race with no track limits and everything else going on around them to come through as victorious. We'll see how they go in the feature race coming up in just a moment. So Emerge KD's victorious in the sprint. KKE great drive. Second place for them. SS7, also not bad. Third place for them. That is the podium for the sprint. Liam Mag eventually finishing in fourth. M1 Righty in fifth. Emil finished in sixth. Jacobo eventually in seventh. Jaguar in eighth. Sydney in ninth. And, Sydney in ninth. E36 Goat in 10th. Dave Hommel in 11th. And Goat Ghosty unfortunately unable to finish. Yes, Liam, last to first with 6 seconds of penalties. Unfortunately, if it wasn't for the 6 seconds, that would be that would have been some drive. And KKE's also quickly visited the Twitch chat. Keep an eye on the football scores, KKE. Now 2-1 to Inter. So Barcelona clawing 1 goal back. And we've nearly towards the end of the first half. So that looks like a pretty decent game as well. But our drivers now need to refocus for what is now a very, very wet Imola circuit. And I will not be surprised to see drivers out on wets for qualifying here. This track is a whole different proposition in the wet, that is for sure. I would love to know what it's actually going to do in the race itself. So I will ask the drivers, if they haven't already, to let us know what it's going to be doing in the race itself. But we've definitely got a very, very wet qualifying here. And the first driver to brave it, these conditions, as Barcelona draw level 2-2. AKE, I hope you're watching. So what a cracking first race that is, first match that is in the new camp. So Emerge KDs is the first driver to try and get round what is an incredibly wet track. I think they're pretty sure they've come out on wet tyres. No, I think they're Inters. No, it is full wets for Emerge. So they're out lap on full wets. So we'll see if this is the right tyre. It certainly will be, I think, in these early stages. Absolutely no dry line out there at all. Very heavy rain at this stage in qualifying, that is for sure. On a relatively cool track, temperature of 23 degrees. So it is quite cool out there. So wet tyres, the choice for Emerge as they try and get at least a time on the board. This is just their sighter lap, of course. Everyone out who has come out on that lap, that's Goat Ghosty, Emerge and Dave Hommel, all choosing full wets for qualifying. So this is for the feature race. We forget everything that happened in the sprint race, and there was quite a lot of chat in the Discord server after and during that race from the drivers as it got very, very tight on track. But we get to do it all again now, and for a much longer race where strategy will play more of a factor, as they'll have a mandatory pit stop during the feature race, which they didn't have in the sprint. So we'll see how Emerge gets round a lap of this wet circuit here in Imola now. After you've been going 100 miles an hour or more on a completely dry track, and now you've got to do it all again, but on a very wet, slippery track. That's a very different experience. Jacobo is sitting in the garages on some intermediate tyres, but we'll see if they eventually come out on those, or actually they choose full wets instead. Dave Hommel just starting a quick lap, as is Goat Ghosty. But Emerge KDs is going to be the first to give us a time. So much slower through turn 9 than they were in the dry. And the turns of Aqua Minerale are treacherous in these conditions. Has been known to flood down there as well in the real world when it's very, very heavy rain. And that's invalidation from Emerge as they went through the chicane there. So Emerge will have to reset and go again. You'll see a number of drivers now stay out depending on how much fuel they put on these cars. They'll be able to do a number of qualifying laps without need for pit. Goat Ghosty is invalidated. Liam Mag is having a go also. We saw how tough it was to stay within track limits in the dry. It's almost impossible in the wets, but some of our drivers will definitely manage it. I'm intrigued to see how E36 Goat goes here after what was a strong first half of the Imola sprint race. We'll see how they go in the feature. Liam Mag coming through the field from pretty much last, as Dave Hommel is the first to get a time on the board, 128.825. So you're saying Liam Mag came through the back of the grid, did finish first on track, but sadly for them had 6 seconds of time penalty, so it meant they finished all the way back in fourth in the end. So Liam Mag coming round, still keeping that Ferrari within track limits. Round the final corners here, is going to get a time on the board. What is it going to be from Liam? 125.818, 3 seconds faster than Dave Hommel. Now, Emil always goes well in the wet, but has invalidated on their lap, so no good for them. KKE looking to get a time on the board. And KKE does indeed set a 126.409, and one righty's got a 127.020, provisional P3 for them. Liam Mag holds provisional pole right now. Let's get to Sydney, who's trying to get a time on the board, or are they just starting a new lap there? It's just starting a new lap. Can E36 go? Show the pace that they had in the sprint race here in qualifying for the feature race. We're about to find out how their first wet lap is going. Ghosty does get a time on the board, 126.243. So does SS7, a 125.943 for them. E36 gets a 126.710. Jaguar Paul's got a time on the board, 128.122. Emerged KD's was going again. And Jakob O has indeed come out on intermediates, so they didn't even want to try the full wet. So we'll keep an eye on Jakob O in a moment. We'll see this lap finish for Emerge, just to see where they end up. Just looking at my timing screen, I think Emil was setting purple sectors at one point, but they are now in the pits. As Emerge does get a time on the board, 126.481. We'll see how Sydney can do. They're coming around the final corners here, over the start-finish line, or 126.062. Looking good for the Ferraris so far, sandwiching the Mercedes of SS7. All right, let's get the bird's eye view from in Jacobo's cockpit, the first driver to attempt these conditions on intermediate tyres. You could see Jacobo's struggling to get any form of grip into the front end of their Mercedes. So they're keeping it within the track limits at the moment. I've gone back to my original timing screen because that is typically better for telling me real-time timings rather than end-of-lap timings. So we'll see how Jacobo goes through Sector 2. Down a hill into Aqua Minerale. This is where the back end gets light as you get onto the curbs coming through Aqua Minerale, up the hill. Heading towards the chicane. Not too much curb. Very respectful corner or line there from Jacobo. Not pushing this too hard. Through Sector 2, M1 righty goes fastest of anyone, 125.769 on 3-lap-old wet tyres. So keep that time in mind, folks, 125.769. Jacobo is going to give us a sense of how the inters are going. And there you go, 125.560. So the inters are definitely the tyre to be on now. And that will be a clue to the rest of our drivers to get back into the pits and get out there on a set of intermediates. As the rain appears to be slightly lifting here, and we do see a dry line appearing on track, so the wet tyres have done a good job of clearing those. So it's the two Mercedes on provisional pole and P2 right now, followed by M1 righty. So SS7 got a good time in just a few moments ago. Ghosty set again a purple sector 1 before they gave up on their lap, so they were going quite well. Jaguarport is still out there. Are they improving? Let's bring up our lap data, because that always gives us a better idea. E36 Goat is going to attempt a lap on some brand new intermediates. Jaguarport is not improving on their time. Get to Sydney, coming through sector 2. They are a whole second up. So Sydney definitely finding some grip and some time here. As the Barcelona Intermatch approaches half-time, 2-2 in the first half. That looks like a very, very good game, one to watch the highlights of, or the replay of later, folks, but not before you've finished your time with us here on M1 Racing. Round 9 of the G-Force Racing Elite League. We're into the feature race here as Sydney sets the fastest lap of anyone for 1:24.810. Where did Sydney find that pace from? This must be the perfect crossover point between Inters and Wets. We'll see some very similar lap times, regardless of what tyres our drivers are on. I've got to imagine the E36 Go is coming round, yes, to perform their first flying lap on these new intermediates. Emil, the only driver yet to set a time yet in qualifying. Everyone else is at least on the board. Sydney in provisional pole, followed by Jakob O in P2, SS7 3, and M1 Righty P4. 7 minutes of qualifying left to go here as E36 Goat looks to improve on their 1:26.710 set on wet tyres. Through turns 5 and 6, you can see how much more slippery it is until we get some grip. But E36 Goat, the second up already, was very late on the brakes into turn 7. We compose ourselves again, back up the hill. Through 8, then 9. Car again will want to drift out as we head towards 10. Now back down the hill as the car gets light, swings out to the left, must stay within track limits. Nicely done, E36. We get back on the power, heading towards the chicane. 1.5 seconds up for E36 Goat. So it's the Inters are now the tyre to be on by a country mile. All our drivers heading in for some fuel and some new green wool tyres down the hill into 17. Using all the track and more. Then 18. E36 Goat happy with their time so far as they come over the line. Fastest lap of anyone, 1:24.249. Well done, Ben. Lovely lap. Takes provisional pole away from Sydney. And so McLaren lead the way. Emil is the other driver yet to get a time on the board, and they have invalidated once again. Charged up those batteries, Emil. There'll be another chance. You've got just under 6 minutes to get a time on the board, and if Emil can get into their iron on this track, they will be one to watch out for. 2 third places for Emil in 2 previous rounds of G-Force Racing here in Imola, who do not count Emil out at all. Who else is out there? Goat Ghosty. 1.5 seconds up for them so far as they came through sector 2. Goat Ghosty was improving sector by sector there. Is it going to be enough to take pole position away from E36 Goat? Yes, it is indeed, by a very long distance, 7/10 better. And Goat Ghosty improved by over 2.5 seconds there. So 1:23.558 is the new time to beat. Goat Ghosty leads the way in qualifying. Liam Mag now, half a second up on sector 2, and they've invalidated. So as our drivers push in these final stages of qualification, it's now Emil is the only driver without a time on the board. Can they get this Red Bull further up the grid, or are they going to be the one with the last to first challenge? Emil looks searching for grip in the Red Bull as they head up the hill. Through 8, now 9. Stay within track limits, Emil. Much more cautious than I think they would be normally. Swings it in quite an aggressive turn in, and that's going to be wide from Emil and a very slow time out. I don't know if the game said that. No, the track map has not gone red. So Emil may just commit to this and at least get a time on the board. But sadly for them, it's not going to be competing for pole position. We won't have to worry about the yellow flags, folks, during qualifying. We won't see any safety cars in qualifying, but I wouldn't be surprised to see a 1 or 2 in the race itself. Emil is back into the pits, and we'll switch off of those and get on to some brand new inters. As M1 Righty is invalidated as well. KKE goes fastest, 123.407. So we've got a Red Bull in first and a Red Bull in 12th right now as we prepare for the feature race. 3 minutes left to go. M1 Righty desperate to set a time that will challenge their rivals in front. Remember, M1 Righty is trying to close down the gap on Emerge KDs in the championship. A maximum 26 points available in the feature race here after Emerge KDs, I should say, got full marks in the sprint. 123.109 from Emerge puts them on provisional pole. These times will continue to come down though, particularly as this track continues to dry a little and our drivers get more and more familiar with the level of grip. As I say that, Liam Mag, wow, 121.712. Liam, that's an immense lap from the Ferrari driver, puts them in pole position by a huge margin. So our drivers will have to go some to get anywhere near to that 121.7. First driver into the 121s. Many of our drivers, if they are on inters, may have had 2 or 3 laps of extra fuel on board. So as these fuel loads come down, so will the lap times as well. Emil is still in the pits. We'll keep an eye on to see if they do come out. M1 Righty has invalidated once again. SS7 hasn't. Let's see what they can do. They're going to be close to 121, but it's a 122.5 for SS7, provisional P3 for them. Sydney goes fastest, 121.687. So Ferrari 1 and 2 right now. Jacobo, who we haven't seen out on track for a little while, but they were the first to try the inters and set the pace for everyone else, is nearly 2 seconds up coming through sector 2, so it's going to be another good time for Jacobo if they can keep it within track limits here. The teammate of SS7 in provisional P4. Liam Mag has retired from qualification, so they're happy with their 121.712, or that enough's enough for Liam Mag as Jacobo crosses the line. Does improve, 123.024, but not enough to leapfrog their teammate. We've got 1 minute left of qualification here, and Jacobo, just double check, are they going again? No, if they were, they were off into, yes, visiting all parts of the Imola circuit, it would seem. Here's M1 Righty going to go again. Well, they've invalidated at this point, but they've probably been charging up those batteries. One last shot for M1 Righty. Let's ride on board with M1. They improved, I think, even just on a warm-up lap there. So definitely more pace available to M1 here. It'll be interesting to know what the forecast is for the feature race, because we could have drivers on a wet circuit with dry setups on, in order that they can have more pace on a drying circuit in the feature race. M1 Righty, though, is looking to improve on their previous time of a 125.769. There's definitely more pace in this Alpine. It's whether or not M1 can keep the Alpine within track limits. As we come to the end of feature race qualifying, that checker flag is out. The drivers will have, as M1 does their best to keep it within track limits through 12. M1 purple through sector 2. Looking like a good lap time for M1 Righty. Is it going to be good enough to push Sydney down the running order? Can M1 Righty still pole? At the moment, they're going to be a long way ahead of Emerge KDs, which is what they need as far as championship is concerned. As M1 comes over the start-finish line with a 121.977, only good enough for P3, but it is still P3, and importantly, in front of their championship rival. Ghosty is going a touch quicker as they come round the final corners here. As our drivers come over the start-finish line, that will be the end of their qualifying. Gosi has invalidated, so it's Emerge looking to improve, but not by much, only half a second. So Emerge there, it was in 7th, now been pushed down to 8th by Jaguarpour, setting a 1:22.424. E36 unable to improve on their time, and Dave Hommel is limping along in that Aston Martin. It's proving to be a bit of a tough day for the Aston Martin team, but Dave Hommel reverses over the line to end qualification for the feature race. So Dave Hommel here in the Aston Martin will be at the back of the grid. And we'll see if we get the final qualification order up on the screen, unless the game is completely going to bypass it, which it has been known to do from time to time. So apologies for the black screen, folks. As we just wait a few moments for that to come up, and it looks as though the game has got a little bit stuck, so we're hoping we're going to be okay. I'm going to keep an eye on the... there we go. It is eventually loading in for us, which is good news. It's still raining, folks. It is still raining. So we are going to certainly have a wet start to this race. I wonder if it goes wet to dry, or whether we're going to stay wet throughout. So Liam Mag, they're in, I think, because my qualification screen has not updated, so I can't remind myself of where you all finished. So we will bring that to you in just a moment. I think it was Sydney, didn't it? It was still held the... Yeah, I think it was Sydney that held on to pole position. We will see in just a moment. But my memory has failed me, but the Ferrari's going very, very well, as you would hope for in Imola, and the Tifosi will be absolutely delighted here to have two very strong drivers out there. I think Gosi, reading through some of the drivers' chat, has got some pace here. They just haven't been able to hook it up. Indeed, we have a Ferrari front row here in Imola. All right, folks, let's go racing eventually in Imola. Round 9, the feature race here. Emerge KD's victorious in the sprint, but it's Sydney who leads us away. Liam Mag follows with them, looking to protect their teammate as we head in to the infamous turn 2. Everyone gradually tiptoeing through there. Is everyone going to come out in one piece? Looks as though everyone has managed to make their way through, but it's been a brilliant start by Sydney. Liam Mag has gone with them. M1 righty through the spray. We can just about see, I think, the Mercedes of Jacobo visiting the gravel. But it's been a very good start for the Mercedes. M1 righty in 3rd. SS7 in 4th. Ghosty there in 5th. I think Emil has made some early gains. No, they've shifted back one. It's got in front of Emil. KKE's had a pretty decent start as well. Up 3 places into 7th. Emerged where they began. And E36 Goat making their way through. As I dare say, chaos will ensue as the laps unfold here in very, very wet conditions here in Imola. I continue to keep an eye on the timing screens, as that's a very wide Sydney coming through the very anti-outer, but has held on to the lead, but will also pick up a track limits warning in the process. I welcome Jacob H in the Twitch chat. So yeah, you can be my eyes and ears once again. So Jacobo, unfortunately, losing out one more time as they did in Spain last week. Sydney leads us away though on lap 2 of 32. So many more laps than we had in the sprint race. And now our drivers will be thinking about strategy, particularly if the weather is going to be changeable here. It is going to be drying up for certain, if my timing screen is to be believed. So it is gradually going to be drying. It's whether or not it dries up completely or not. Now, who has been brave and gone out on inters? So Liam Mag has actually gone out on inters here, as has Emil, Goat Ghosty and Jacobo. So Desaves, it may come back to Jacobo. I appreciate they've been shifted back. As long as they didn't pick up any damage, this race could still come to them, particularly as their drivers are still quite close together here. So they're not entirely out of it, and as this dry line starts to appear, as Sydney goes very wide, and we'll see track limit warnings coming up left, right and centre throughout this race. That will play a huge factor here, and I really think Sydney is pushing the track limits here quite substantially, it would seem. So 3-second time penalty. There is the first of them for Dave Hommel, as the two Ferraris work together to retain the lead of the Imola Grand Prix. The back end of Sydney steps out as they come through turn 18. No DRS, of course, in these very wet conditions. E36 Goat picks up track limit penalty. And Liam decides to come through on their teammate. Emil goes fastest of anyone, 127.779 as on lap 2. These times will tumble as the track dries and our drivers get their eye. And Sydney picks up a 3-second time penalty. We did think they were dicing with track limits a few times there on those opening laps, and so it's come to pass that 3 seconds is going to be added to their time at the end of this race. M1 Righty biding their time, and SS7, we've got a yellow flag. That's a Mercedes of Jacobo one more time coming out of turn 6, I should say. The rain driving once again here, actually. So getting quite very wet from the helicopter view here as we're following M1 Righty through the mist and the spray as they navigate Acqua Minerale. I think Jacobo and Dave Hummel are coming together there. Looking at the comments in the drivers' chat. More reports to the FIA for later on, I dare say. SS7 going well here in 4th, following M1 Righty. SS7 has been on the podium twice here, of course. Victorious in Season 1, 3rd place. Apologies, they were just the once. Victorious in Season 1, finished in 5th place in Season 3. Liam Mag sets the fastest lap, 127.461 as these times come down. Just behind SS7 coming through on SS7. What a great time to come to Ghosty as they go past the Mercedes. Into turn 2. Good pass from Ghosty and can now get after M1 Righty in front of them. Thank you, Decimus, in the Twitch chat. If David T joins us here on the Twitch stream at some point this evening, I'm sure they'll be delighted with the full warning of various reports coming to the FIA later on this evening. So SS7 having dropped behind Ghosty moving up into turn 2 or through turn 2 on lap 4. SS7 giving up that place to Ghosty, and perhaps now the Inters will be starting to find more of that grip that they were so desperate for. And Emil is now on the rear end of SS7. Let's see if Emil can get through on SS7. They decide not to do it into this chicane in these wet conditions. It's a brave driver that attempts an overtake there anyway, but certainly in the wet, Emil thinks better of it. You can see, though, that the Red Bull has so much more traction than the Mercedes of SS7 in front of them. Emil, can they get past SS7? Will any of these wet runners think of getting off of the wets onto Inters? Very much depends on the forecast that they have right now. It continues to rain heavily here, and we can just see wheel tracks at the moment, but no real proper wet dry line here in Imola. So but our intermediate runners clearly having a lot more pace, and Sydney now dropping back. But that is SS7 back through on Emil. So still a fair bit of traction available to SS7, perhaps in the tight twisty parts of this circuit. Emil will get a much better run out of the hairpin of turn 7. But you can see SS7 has a fair bit of grip here. So it's not quite done here for the wet runners. SS7 still fighting very, very well with Emil, and we've had a front row seat for exactly that battle on lap 5. This bodes well for the rest of this race as the second half of Barcelona versus Inter Milan has got back underway. Still 2-2 in that one. You can see it live on your screen there, folks. So Emil trying to find their way through as Ghosty is closing down, has indeed got past M1 Righty, now closing in on Sydney in front of them. So very good race for Ghosties. SS7 has decided to get off of those wets. SS7 the first to blink, and they will definitely be out on inters, but they've realised they're losing just too much time. So Emil has a bit of free air now to get after M1 Righty. 2.3 seconds back for Emil to get after the Alpine in front of them. Ghosty through now on Sydney, and they're now going to get after Liam Mag. Liam Mag nearly 2.5 seconds clear right now, but we'll see how much better pace Goat has on those inters. Last lap around, they were pretty much identical. 126.8 for both, broadly speaking. So Goat and Liam lapping pretty much the same as M1 Righty joins the Track Limit Penalties Club. They pick up their first 3 seconds alongside Sydney, E36 Goat and Dave Hommel. We'll come back to Goat Ghost in a minute, but here's SS7, who's pitted, the only driver to have pitted so far, getting off a wet onto inters. Jacobo, after various difficult moments, I think it's fair to say, with Dave Hommel, is trying to find a way through on the Aston Martin, and the Aston Martin in the wheel tracks of Jaguar Paul in front, as I think that's Dave Hommel. Indeed, no, sorry, Jaguar Paul heading into the pits. And Jacobo getting through on the Aston Martin. Trying to get through, at least, on the Aston Martin. Last of the late breakers. And that's a very tight wheel-to-wheel battle between the Aston Martin and the Mercedes. Jacobo just not able to do it. They'll try again. Into turn 5. No way through. And Jacobo definitely being held up, so they look down the inside of the Aston into 7. Can they get the traction? 3-second penalty for Goat Ghosty, so Goat clearly pushing hard here, as we're watching quite a battle between the Mercedes of Dave Hommel, sorry, the Mercedes of Jacobo, and the Aston Martin of Dave Hommel here. And Jacobo clearly getting frustrated behind the Aston Martin, just not able to get through on that. So fantastic battle at the back here. Goat Ghosty, sorry, Goat E36 Goat, 2 goats out there. The E36 Goat in the McLaren, 6 laps in on those wet tyres as Liam Mag goes faster on intermediates, a 125.874, and Emil with a 125.524. So I told you Emil would come back into this, and they're gradually making their way through. It is still drying up here. The rain seems to have abated a little bit. Yeah, and I don't know, Srivatsa, welcome to the Twitch chat, by the way. Sorry couldn't see you out there racing, but I appreciate you stopping by. I was just reading your comment. Yeah, Imola seems popular in the Racing League fraternity this week, and obviously comes up in the real world in a few weeks' time also. Yeah, it is Miami week in the real F1 world, but we, of course, did Miami in GeForce Racing Elite League just a couple of weeks back, and that was also a sprint race, and what a fantastic race week that was for us. That's a replay worth watching as well. That was when Liam Mag returned to the GeForce Racing Elite League and picked up some pretty major points on their return, and they're on the cards here for another victory at the moment, leading the way as E36 Go is closing in on Emerge. They were a second or so back, and they are within a second now of our championship leader as Emil takes third place as Sydney decides to get off of those wet tyres and on to some intermediates. So E36 Go, it's 10-second penalty. E36, that's painful for speeding in the pit lane, and the pit lane entry does come up on you very, very quick here in Imola. 10 seconds for Dave Hommel, proving my point, sadly. So they will be able to clear those 10 seconds if they are able to pit again during this race. So many of these drivers will be hoping for a safety car. And then one righty picking up penalties as well. Ghosty has one as well, although they are gradually closing in on Liam Mag. The Merge KDs has decided to stay out on those wet tyres, although they clearly don't have the pace of the drivers in front, if you'd like to know, folks, actually. So, Merge set a 127.45 last time out, whereas the cars in front are doing 125.5. So 2 seconds a lap slower for Emerge KDs at the moment. It's really how much longer they attempt to brave it out for on those wet tyres. Every other driver has definitely decided to get on inters, and those who took the gamble to start on intermediates are getting the benefit right now. Liam Mag, Goat Ghosty and Emil, first, second and third, as Goat claws back a little time, corner after corner. They're within 1.4 seconds. DRS don't think yet enabled here. It's still too wet for that, but the rain is definitely abating. Oh, good, Srirato. Glad you'll be back next week. We've enjoyed having you in the Ironman. It's been good to have you appear in the Elite League as well. So, Goat Ghosty, 1.5 seconds back or thereabouts from Liam Mag, who leads the way for Ferrari. Get a Ferrari front row here in Imola. That's, I think, the first time that's ever happened in G-Force Racing history as well. But Goat Ghosty looking to claim victory here, which I think maybe, Goat will crucify me if I get this wrong, but could well be Goat Ghosty's first race victory in Season 5 after numerous race victories in Season 4. I'm going to take a quick scan of Season 5 results so far, folks, so just bear with me a moment. Their teammate Emerge has been victorious numerous times now this season, but I don't think Goat has been on the top step, indeed not in Season 5, so this could be a first race win for Goat. They've clearly got some very strong pace here, closing down Liam lap after lap, now within a second for them. They're going well for Goat. They just cannot afford too many track limit penalties. 3 for them so far. Sydney sets the fastest lap, 123.582. So they're on a slightly different strategy to their teammates. Sadly for Sydney, they are carrying a 6-second time penalty. So that's going to hurt them at the end of this race. M1 righty with 3. I'm not going to say anything, Emil. Oh, go on, I will. Emil, no track limit penalties right now. Keep it clean, Emil. This could be a very, very good result for you. E36 Goat and Dave Hommel, though, very painful so far for them. 19 seconds and 16 seconds, respectively, for them. Back to the tyres. Oh, Emil, I'm so sorry. So Emil, immediately after I say it, gets the 3-second time penalty, but they managed to wait until lap 11 before they got it. So Goat Ghosty right on the rear end now of the Ferrari of Liam Mag. They've been working hard lap after lap to close in on the Ferrari ahead of them. Because of that time limit penalty they are carrying, they'll need to get past and away from Liam Mag. 3-second time penalty for SS7. So the concentration levels perhaps starting to slip for many of our drivers, and maybe some of the grip starting to slip. We saw the back end of the Ferrari getting a bit slidey on the way out of turn 4 there. M1 righty goes fastest, 123.326. This track clearly drying, and the sun is going to be coming out imminently, it would seem. And then we get our drivers will have to make another key strategic decision. Do they pit? And if they do, what do they put on? Do they go onto hard or medium tyres and try and take it to the end of the race? Do they anticipate more rain later on and go on soft tyres, knowing that they're going to have to switch tyres once again? We will find out in only a matter of laps, but it's clearly going to be drying up, I think, in the very near future here, if my forecast screen is to be believed. And merely 6 seconds back from this front two of Liam Mag and Goat Ghosty. Can Goat Ghosty find a way through? on the Ferrari as Jacobo picks up 3 seconds. Some of our drivers taking the opportunity to pit. M1 Righty has done that, SS7 has done that, Sydney, KKE, 36 Goat, can Goat find the long way round. They brake later than the Ferrari, indeed do go the wrong way round, but Cat has less speed coming out of turn 2. That allows Liam Mag back through as Dave Hommel gets another 3 seconds. We'll add them all up at the end, folks. We've got a new second on track, a new record I should say, on track limit penalties as Sydney goes fastest, 123.205. Yeah, it was E36 Goat in the Ironman. Got 39 seconds, I think it was, on track limit penalties in the Ironman this last weekend before they were disqualified for exactly that. So E36 Goat holds that record. Although Marcel set, I think it was, set a brand new record there with, no, it wasn't Marcel, apologies, I'm going to give that to someone else. But someone got 42 seconds of time penalties, but that included a pit lane speeding infringement as well. So E36 Go holds the record for the most number of track limit penalties in a single race. Goat trying to find a way through. Can they go around the outside of 17? They've still got the outside. They'll have the faster exit surely. Good battling between these two drivers. Goat could not find a way through on Liam Mag. They should have a bit more speed now. They'll have to use their battery. The long way around, would it be? One more time. Can they close the door? They can this time. Goat Ghosty is through. So they had a couple of attempts, but finally they are through on Liam Mag as KKE picks up a 3-second time penalty. Emerge has stayed out there on the wet tyres. Emerge must know what's coming, but it's a brave strategy. They've really given up a huge amount of time as even Goat gets on the power a bit too early. As E36 Goat goes fastest of anyone, 123.158. So those new inters, very, very quick indeed. As I scan the driver's chat, just in case anybody I've missed anything in the process. There's been so much going on here, folks. It's been a pretty difficult to keep an eye on everything. But E36 Goat, the fastest of anyone on inters. That their time of 123.1, and the front, that's a second quicker than the front runners here. So although Goat Ghosty pretty much has the accelerator hard on the floor here, they've pulled out a second already on Liam Mag on this lap alone. So Goat really has some pace here, trying to stretch out on Liam Mag. So Goat Ghosty is having what I would class as a Goat Ghosty drive. They have the pace over absolutely everyone. It's all a question, can they keep it together and not add to those track limit penalties? They're on the same strategy as the other drivers around them of Liam Mag and Emil. Emil nearly 5 seconds back as M1 has now got through on Emerge KEDs into 4th place. And Goat Ghosty trying to stretch out a lead. Looks as though Liam is trying to close down also. They haven't let them get away too easily here, and are closing to within the range of DRS, but I don't think we have DRS enabled yet, so no DRS yet. We've got a yellow flag. Who's that for? That's the Aston Martin of Dave Hommel coming out of turn 6. So the Aston Martin struggling, and Liam Mag picks up 3 seconds, and Goat Ghosty will be delighted with that. That takes the pressure off of Goat Ghosty. They are truly racing Liam Mag on track. Let's bring up the penalties at this as we approach the midway point. Though Hommel in the Twitch chat is struggling with the game glitching as 3 seconds is added to M1 Righty's track limit penalties here. So Goat Ghosty, Liam Mag, Emil, SS7, Jacobo, all on 3 seconds. M1 Righty on 6, so is Sydney, and so is KKE. Dave Hommel on 9, and E36 Goat. Ben, you don't have to do it every week. You had the pace earlier on. Keep it clean. 22 seconds for E36 Go, sadly for them. Now, hopefully clear some of those at their next pit stop. But 22 seconds for them. M1 Righty goes fastest of anyone. 122. We're in the 122s now, folks. So that is good pace. Half a second quicker than the lap time that Ghosty did last lap around. Jacobo picks up 10 seconds. A tough race for Jacobo as they head into the pit. Liam Mag is still within striking distance of Ghosty. They can see them, but they are gradually losing time here. Here's Emil, 5.5 seconds back from Liam Mag, and then a big gap to M1 Righty, who is coming up to lap Dave Hommel here. SS7 has got through now into 5th. Dave Hommel picks up another 3 seconds. So SS7 trying to get after M1 Righty, but I think M1 Righty has an awful lot of pace here. Jaguar Paul with no penalties. Crucially for Jaguar Paul, no penalties. That could play into their hands in the latter stages of this race. Jacobo we saw pick up those penalties for track limits. Emerge KD is 1.1 seconds back now. Emerge, we've seen the switch over, so drivers now starting to take the gamble on to slick tyres. Jacobo's done that, Emerge has done that, KKE has done that, so has Sydney and E36 Go, and Dave Hommel gave it a try. We did see, it did catch my eye actually, soft tyres for Dave Hommel. They're a long way out of it here. SS7 is heading in, oh, is that Liam Mag has gone, sorry, so Liam Mag has gone to the bits, they've gone on to the hard tyres as well. They're going to take those to the end. Now, is this the right time? This is going to be dreadfully painful on these hard tyres for a lap or so. But it's definitely drying up. Spots of rain remaining, but we are going to be fully dry in a matter of moments. As KKA demonstrates that. Ooh, is that Hommel? Yeah, once again, giving us a yellow flag through turn 7. So we'll watch the lap times of these slick runners compared to the Inters. And it looks as though Liam is already through on SS7. So they've probably timed this absolutely spot on. These slick tyre runners will have immense pace. So when does Ghosty pit? They're a good distance ahead of Liam Mag, but can't leave it too long. No, indeed, they've gone in, as has Emil. And M1 Righty, I dare say, will follow them. Now they do. So Liam Mag is going to come through. Let's get to Liam, who's going to come blasting down the start-finish straight. It's quite a long straight here in Imola. And we can see Ghosty comes out. What's happened there with Ghosty? If that was the game, it almost made it look like they were flying into the side of Liam. That was just, I think, the game representation of Ghosty coming out. Watch that back on the replay, folks. That was weird. But Ghosty is out safely, most importantly, on brand new hard tyres. But has got to go after Liam Mag again. So Liam timed that pit stop absolutely perfectly. Used the undercut to get and retake the lead of this race. We've still got a yellow flag, and that is for Jacobo. That is for us retiring. They've clearly had a very tough race here today. And so enough is enough for Jacobo. They retire in the pit lane. That's what that yellow flag is for. And so Ghosty has got to get after Liam Mag. Can they do it all again? We saw they had the pace in those intermediate conditions. Will they have the same in the dry? Another 3 seconds for Emil. SS7 has decided to go on to brand new medium tyres here. They'll be quick, and they've only got 15 laps or so to take those as Liam Mag gets into the 119 to 119.311 for them. We'll see what Ghosty can do on their first flying lap on brand new hard tyres. We'll also see what SS7 can do on brand new mediums. We saw Sydney set a pretty respectable time initially, both Sydney and Liam pretty much judging the weather conditions perfectly. Emerge KDs goes fastest at 118.667. Emerge gave up an awful lot of time staying out on those wet tyres. Jaguar Paul goes fastest 118 as we lose KKE. That's a real shame. And I wouldn't blame them if they've decided to go and watch the football. It's 3-3 between Barcelona and Inter. So what a cracking game in the first leg of the Champions League. They're not just all holding out for a 0-0 draw in the first leg of that one. High of the round, it would seem. So SS7 closing in on Emerge KDs, as we saw Emerge going fastest of anyone. And it does, according to my timing screen, E36 Goat had the fastest lap on 17.9. But yeah, so McLaren going well as well. So fastest times coming in all the time. What's notable is Emerge KDs has no penalties at all compared to everyone else around them. They would love a safety car at the end of this race. M1 Righty is hoping that that isn't the truth, because M1 Righty wants to improve in the championship and try and close that gap. Mercedes now have got their constructors standings all in the hands of SS7 only, and SS7 will look to try and find a way through on Emerge, and they're going to have plenty of pace now with DRS being enabled. SS7 blast past the RB up into 5th place, and will now try and close down on M1 Righty. And M1 is trying to get after Emil, Ghosty and Liam Mag. Now Liam and Goat are keeping that gap at about 2.5 seconds. Ooh, is that a Ferrari of Sydney? There was a yellow flag around where Sydney was, but Sydney's still going. They're okay for Sydney at this point. The track will still be drying, so it won't be perfect conditions just yet for the slick runners, but it will gradually come. M1 Righty picks up another 3 seconds. So the question will be, can M1 Righty close in? So M1's last lap around was a 122, but that was on Newton. No, Ghosty goes faster. 117.780 for them. I'm waiting for my timing screen to update with M1's time, because they have been closing in on Emil very gradually here. So my time screen is definitely wrong with the 122. 118.303 for SS7 last time around. Now a 116.572 for SS7. So SS7 is coming as well. They fancy a piece of the podium if they can get it, but they are bringing Emerge KDs with them. E36 Goat picking up more penalties. Let's bring them up, folks. We're on lap 21 of 32, and the penalties are numerous. 3 seconds for our 2 front runners, and Liam does seem to be picking up the pace, but 3 seconds for Liam and Ghosty. Emil there on 9, M1 Righty on 12, SS7 feeling a little bit happier. M1 Righty is carrying a lot of penalties there. SS7 feeling a little bit happier there with 3 seconds, as is Emerge. Sydney carrying 12, Jaguar Paul on only 3, E36 on 18, and Dave Hommel on 15. As Sydney picks up another 3 seconds, making it a total of 15 for Sydney, and a extra 3 for SS7. I think the commentators need to be really careful about what they say, don't you? Because it seems to be the curse is in full effect here today, with SS7 picking up 3 seconds. Let's get down to where the fights are starting to happen. Well, Emerge is happy to sit in the wheel tracks of SS7 as they chase after M1 Righty in front of them. That gap is now only 2 seconds, and Emerge will use DRS to try and find a way through on SS7. SS7 happy to allow that, because they can now follow in the slipstream of the RB in front of them as they chase after the double champion M1 Righty on lap 22. How long will those medium tyres hold out for SS7? Only time will tell. They've got another 10 laps after this one to go. As SS7 follows in the wheel tracks, Emerge dropping back a little bit in this sector of the lap. M1 Righty gradually clawing time back over Emil. 117.6 for M1 last time around. My timing screen says 117.6 for 117.7, I should say, for Emil last time around, but we can see that gap's already closed up by a second to Emil, and Emil now also on 12 seconds. M1 Righty gets the fastest at 116.227, and that is why they are closing down hand over fist the gap to Emil. Ghosty happy to sit there at 2.5 seconds, it would seem, back from Liam Mag. This could give us another grandstand finish, but this time battle of the penalties. I'm going to leave the penalties up on screen for the moment, folks. We'll switch back to tyres in a few moments' time, but just to allow you to do some maths, Emil and M1 Righty are going to drop back as Ghosty picks up 3 seconds. Thank you, says Liam. But we don't know how close Liam is to another track limit penalty either. And our drivers will be picking these up all the time. The gap from Emil to Ghosty is 9 seconds, but only 10 seconds now back to M1 Righty. This gap is closing corner after corner as SS7 follows along behind Emerge. We've got 8.5 seconds back to Sydney, so their early pace unfortunately not able to be carried through, it would seem, although they're still lapping pretty reasonably here with the 117.8s. But they really need to be in the 116s to be matching the front runners here as Emerge switches places once again with SS7. Emil picks up another 3 seconds in third place currently, but will be looking over their shoulder as they start to drop back into the clutches of M1 Righty SS7 and Emerge KDs. We'll bring up the tyres, but only briefly, I think, folks, just to get a sense if anybody's likely to pit. I don't think so. I think everyone's going to stay out on the tyre that they are now on to the end of the race. It's really how much grip that they have. I think SS7, the latest... Oh, and Dave Hummel. Dave Hummel has been on for numerous pit stops here, but I think SS7 waited the longest to put on those medium tyres, so they may well be okay. So let's go back to the penalties view to see us through to the conclusion of the Imola Grand Prix. At the moment, it's going to be 4 from 4 from Liam Mag as they, well, I should say 4 from 5. They can finish first place. They did finish first on track in the sprint, but it was Emerge that came victorious because of the track limit penalties. But no, Liam may not have yet got this victory sealed, because they pick up another 3-second penalty. That brings Ghosty back into play. So the warning lights flashing on their dashboard, but that's going wide. We caught it live there, so goes a little bit too wide. Another 3 seconds for M1 Righty. We'll just let this unfold in front of us, folks. We'll see how this actually ends up. Emerge could still end up with a pretty decent result here, given what's happening in front of them. And if they can close down on M1 Righty, they certainly could. M1 is getting closer to Emil, lap after lap. SS7 is going with them. Not looking too bad for Mercedes, even though they've lost Jakob O earlier on. Jaguar still in with a shout of some decent points as well. So Jaguar keeping it reasonably clean. Just the one track limit penalty for them so far. E36 collecting like it's going out of fashion, as is Emil and M1 Righty and Dave Hummel. No safety cars, quite remarkably here in Imola, but Imola has given us wet weather once again. And we've stayed with Ghosty just to see if they can close down on Liam Mag, and it does look that way. Emerge is getting very close now to M1 Righty as E36 adds another 3 seconds to their already substantial collection, as does Dave Hummel. So Emerge KDs now, bringing SS7 with them, has got onto the rear end of M1 Righty, and M1's gone wide. I don't know if that was intentional, but they are definitely not defending from Emerge and SS7. And I think M1 has just let them through. I think they've just let them through. So M1 might tell me differently later, but it did look as though they just gave way and allowed Emerge and SS7 through, and happy to follow in their wheel tracks for the final 5 laps of this race. Emil gets another 3 seconds. So after a good drive from Emil, the track limit penalties are going to hurt them substantially. I think Emerge is essentially chasing after third place here. I don't think they'll be able to get too far back from Ghosty, their teammate, but it could be a strong performance for the RB team in their fight to close down the gap on the Mercedes team in the Constructors' Championship. And SS7 having another decent race here. And I think that was M1 to give them their credit, and that's why they're a double champion. They know they've got 15 seconds of time penalties. There's absolutely no point in getting in the way of SS7 and Emerge. So they stepped out of the way at a very sensible opportunity and are allowing those drivers through. True mark of a champion from M1 Righty. So Emerge now trying to get after Emil. They're on track. They're certainly going to get them when they come over the line with all of those penalties. Ghosty doesn't seem to be able to close down enough on Liam Mag, but can they put them under just enough pressure to get Liam another track limits penalty? These could be appealed after the race, folks, but I dare say that will take some working out and a number of views of race director screens to actually validate that. But there's a possibility one or two of these might be appealed, but right now we'll call it as it is on track. So can Goat put some pressure on Liam Mag to make a mistake? Because that will be all it will take for Liam Mag to get another 3-second time penalty, and Ghosty will be victorious here. Continuing to push as hard as they can, but Liam doing a really decent job of maintaining that gap at 1.5 seconds. Look forward to hopefully speaking to our RB drivers after today's race. As Ghosty comes up on Dave Hommel, running in 10th, and Dave will pick up a point for Aston Martin here. They can't finish any worse than 10th place here, with the DNFs of KKE and Jacobo. So back on the power again. They will get some DRS here as well for Goat. That will help them close in on Liam Mag. Sydney picks up another 3 seconds, making a total of 18 for them. But their points here for all our drivers still they're throwing as E36 Goat sets the fastest lap, 1:15.978, and that will be, if E36 can hang on to it, an extra point, as SS7 gets another 3-second penalty. That puts them on 9 seconds. As Emerge and SS7 switch places one more time. I don't think SS7 will be fighting Emerge either. We got a yellow flag. Is that Ferrari? No, it's that Ferrari of Sydney coming into the pit lane. And that may be Sydney trying. I wonder if they'll go on to some soft tyres here. Indeed, they do. So that is Sydney attempting to steal back. As Ghosty gets a 3-second time penalty. And we did see Liam, we were just on board with them as they were trying to get through on a ghosting or lapping Aston Martin there. But that was Liam going wide also through the very anti-outer chicane. So they're living on the knife edge here, our drivers. As Emerge gets 3 seconds. So pay attention, SS7. It's not over yet. You could be fighting on track for 4th place with Emerge KDs in the final stages of this race here. Yeah, our drivers really living on a knife edge here, and it's not so much time on track. It's time that's going to be added afterwards. So Liam Mag is probably wishing that the Aston Martin of Hommel would get out of the way properly here, as they are being lapped. But Dave Hommel is now disqualified for too many penalties, so that's where Dave Hommel will not get any penalty, not get any points here today. That's a disqualification for Dave Hommel. So we have 9 drivers remaining. E36 Go is in 9th, Sydney in 8th, Jaguar in 7th, but very much looking for some better points if they can close down that 15-second gap to M1 Righty. Then SS7 in 5th, ahead of M1 Righty. Emerge KD's in 4th, who is going to at least inherit P3 from Emil, because Emil is carrying 18 seconds of penalties. So it's really now what happens at the front here. Can Goat Ghosty force Liam Mag into a mistake? But I think what Liam is now doing is they recognise they don't need to fight Goat. So Goat is going to try and get through on Liam and get away. or force Liam into some kind of mistake here. Goat's only going to have one more lap after this one to get past and get away. As Emil adds another 3 seconds, they've got a full 21 seconds now for Emil. I'm giving up trying to calculate these, folks. If you want to get your calculators out and do it for me, please be my guest. As we navigate the Variante Alta chicane just for the penultimate time here on lap 31. Goat Ghosty trying to find a way through. Sydney does indeed get fastest lap. Ooh, Goat was too quick on the power. Coming through 17, that's dropped them right back, and I think that is race done. That could be race done. We've got one more lap to go. Liam Mag leads the way. Could be their third feature race victory for Liam Mag. They've won once in a sprint race as well. That's why I said 4 from 4, but I of course forgot the sprint race from earlier today where Emerge KDs was victorious in that. So Liam Mag continuing to lead, also has the benefit of 3 seconds less of time penalties from Goat Ghosty. Emil is going to drop all the way back, probably past Emerge certainly, and likely SS7, but probably not M1 righty. Goat Ghosty gets another 3 seconds, and this could actually help. No, it won't. I was thinking, would it help Emerge? I don't think it will. So 12 seconds for Goat Ghosty. Well, after what was looking like, if it had stayed wet, I think Goat Ghosty would have been victorious here. But it's wheel to wheel as he comes around the final corners. Liam's decided not to give it up and would like to win this on track. Thank you very much. But Goat Ghosty decides they will come over the line first. But Liam Mag is victorious here in Imola in the feature race. Congratulations, Liam. Well fought battle with Goat Ghosty. If it had stayed wet, I wonder where Goat would have finished. Emil eventually comes over the line on track in third. But let's see as we see the other drivers come over the line. What happened there with Emerge? That was them coming over the line. Okay, spectacular finish from Emerge. Means they finish in third. Emil eventually does finish in fourth. So not a bad finish for Emil in the end. SS7 takes fifth. Where is M1 righty going to end up? It all depends how much time Jaguar Paul made up. Not enough. So Jaguar Paul comes home in seventh. Sydney does have fastest lap of the race, 1:15.289. They are going to get an extra point for that, but they are carrying 18 seconds of penalties, but they are going to be the last to finish here. E36 Goat has come over the start-finish line. They were lapped. So Sydney finishes in 8th place. And with the fastest lap. So an extra point for Sydney. Congratulations to them. So very good day for Ferrari. The game gives driver of the day to Emerge KDs. And they were certainly very good in the sprint race earlier on today. Liam had a very good drive in the feature race. And I'm just hesitating a little moment, folks, to think who I might give driver of the day to. There are quite a couple of interesting candidates out there. Liam for certain. Emerge for their sprint race victory and third place here in the feature. But I'm going to give it to Goat Ghosty because I think they drove supremely well in the wet conditions. And third place for them in the end, they had to push, was a very strong outcome. And it's a very good day for the RBs. So Liam Mag, overall points for the day, 30 of them. Victory here in the feature race, as well as a very strong finish in the sprint. Emerge KDs set a first and a third today. Goat Ghosty, strong points for the RB team. SS7's not had a bad day for Mercedes, but I think that does mean that RB are going to take the lead in the Constructors' Championship going into round 10, and Emerge KDs is definitely extending their lead in the Drivers' Championship. Well, that was incredibly eventful, as always, in the G-Force Racing League. And I am going to go and say hi to a few drivers in their garages, if they will have me. And who is left in there? Well, we're going to have a quick... Well, we'll go and speak to E36 Goat first of all. We'll go and say hello to my good friend, Ben. Ben, are you still there?
I am still here, Mark, yes.
Now, at one point in the sprint race, we thought you're going to be on the podium. You were so quick. You were right up there in the fight. And as soon as I said that, you span. So apologies. That was probably my fault. But did you feel as though you had some good pace today?
To be quite honest, tonight felt one of the best races that I'd had in the GFR League with race pace. Because tonight, I feel myself I was quicker, definitely, for sure.
You really did. And then in the feature race, were you attempting your same strategy from the Ironman on Sunday with collecting the penalties? Or is it just the nature of the Imola track that it seems to hand them out like raffle tickets?
To be quite honest, I got too many penalties for my liking. But, overall, I'll take tonight on the chin and, hopefully it's things to come.
And you almost got the point for fastest lap, but Sydney pipped you to it about a lap or so from the end. So, but no, good to watch you race and good to see you racing at the front too. So, thanks for saying hi and look forward to catching up with you next week.
Cheers, Mark. Thank you.
Have a good one. See you. All right, and we have a group of drivers also left in a garage along the pit lane called Emerge KDs and Goat Ghosty. So, Goat Ghosty, I'm going to come to you first for a change because often I speak to your teammate first. But Goat, that when it was wet, you were just a different class above. When it dried up, it felt as though you were struggling to have the same pace to close down on Liam. Was I reading that right, or was the wet conditions better for you than the dry?
Oh, definitely. I went from P6 to P1 in the wet, and then I just fell down P2. Obviously, P2 is a great finish, but I just ended up with too many penalties in the dry. I was trying to keep it conservative in the wet, and it really paid off. And then in the dry, I was really trying to push into Liam's DRS. So just too many mistakes.
That's a shame, though, but you definitely showed once again the pace that you do have when it all comes together. Do you wish it's hindsight, I know, but do you feel as though a lap earlier for pitting would have been the right strategy, or was it still for you a little bit too damp?
I was in a mind that DRS was enabled. The game normally does that anyway. So I was in a mind of, do I pit now and risk it being greasy, or do I go another lap and try and keep the lead? And I would have kept the lead, but I left overtake on out of the pit lane, and it kind of half spun me.
Well, we did see on the stream, it looks as though you just drive straight through Liam, but I think it was just the perspective that we had, but that perhaps explains some of it, at least. There wasn't a couple coming together, but
Liam did not kill me, don't worry.
That's good. All right, well, no, great drive from you, and you were my driver of the day for your performance in the wet as well. So no, very good to see you back towards the front of the running order, which is where I think you believe you deserve to be, and on today's performance, absolutely right. Emerge, I'm going to come to you. Strong performance, both races, but the wet tyres, you hung on to them for a very, very long while, and seemed to be giving up an awful lot of time. Were you just in two minds, you didn't know what to do, or was that the strategy all along?
So I started on the wets because it was pissing it down, and my pace wasn't amazing in the wet, so I was like, I'm just going to stay out and just hope it dries. And my engineer kept saying 5 minutes. And then I don't think you caught it on the stream, but I got a puncture in sector 3 on the lap I boxed. So I got a puncture, went off the grass, saved it from going into the wall. So I boxed, and I went on to hards because I was like, I got nothing to lose now. So I may lose a bit of time due to grease. But for some reason, even though it was raining still, the track was very grippy. So it kind of saved my race because my tires had 92%. And then I was just doing qualifying laps on the hards. I knew I had a podium, so I played it a bit conservative. I got 6 seconds of track limits at the end, but I had 3 until near the end. But overall, yeah, it was good. Obviously, 2 and 3 for the team, so we're now leading again. Obviously, I extend my lead in the drivers, but yeah, I got very lucky that it dried up when it did because my puncher.
That was incredible. I'm a bit disappointed we missed that on the screen. We rarely see punchers in the league races, but the fact that you got one and then managed to survive that, even more impressive. And it might have been a slightly tighter battle towards the front had that not been the case. But you're absolutely right. Most importantly, you've banked those points, extended your lead in the Drivers' Championship, and retaken the lead in the Constructors as well. So congratulations to both of you. So I'll ask you about next week. I think we're supposed to be going to China. Emerge, what's China like for you as a driver?
China's very good for me, to be honest. So I look forward to that, if that's the case.
Okay, that's interesting. And Goat, how about you?
China's not a track I've done on no line. Imola wasn't, but I got second, so maybe it's the tracks that I'm learning that might pay off.
Well, watch out, everyone. The RBs are coming, that is for sure. So congratulations, guys. Thanks very so much for talking to me, and I'll speak to you hopefully next week.
Yes, thank you.
Okay, guys. Well, there we go. So another fantastic round of racing here at GeForce Racing. As we were just talking to Emerge KDs and Goat Ghosty, we are going to be back next week, this time not in Bahrain as you see on this calendar, because we switched Bahrain and China around. So barring any final concerns about the code for the track in China, that is where we are going to be next week, and we'll see if Emerge KDs can continue their just incredible form here in the league. Can they extend that championship? Or do not count out Liam Mag, who is coming from nowhere since they've returned to GeForce Racing with some really strong performances here in the league. So do not count them out to mix things up here as Emerge tries to gain their very first DFR championship. We may well have the returning Jakob Hloska also next week, last season's champion, just to make things even more interesting than it already is. So you know where to be, 8 p.m. UK time next week on Wednesday. Be back here on M1 Racing for round 10 of the GeForce Racing Elite League from China. If you've enjoyed what you've watched here and you would like to come and take part in the GeForce Racing League, hit the Discord link on my Twitch or YouTube channels, head over to the server, say hi, and you could jump in any of the remaining seats that might be there, or even drive as a reserve and come out and be out on track with this incredible crew of drivers. All right, folks, I'm going to leave it there. The final score in the football, Barcelona 3, Inter 3. What wonderfully poised for the second leg in Italy next time out. And we're going to say goodbye from Italy here on M1 Racing. We'll see you next time. Take care.